Cool. Okay, I think we're recording. And good morning. Thank you all for being here. It's so much more fun to talk to actual people live than talk to yourself. So I appreciate you guys taking the time this morning to be here and show me your beautiful faces. The reason I decided to do a free Zoom for you all on the topic of email lists and newsletters is because if I had known what I know now back when I really needed to know it, I would have probably tripled the list by now. And it's so important to kind of try to get over your resistance about this email list thing and the newsletter thing. And there's a lot of really wonderful ways that you can use the ideas today and move forward in a really brave and authentic and feel good, intuitive way. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to offer my thoughts about it to you all. And then at the end today, I'm going to also talk to you about a couple things I have going on, and I'll let you know what that is. And anyone who's live today is going to get a code for the next Intuitive Writers Workshop that's coming up February 5th. So I'm going to type that code in later on and let you know what's going on with that. But hey, welcome everyone who just popped on in the last moment. We're all muted right now. I'm just chatting at you. So again, just repeating myself, the reason I wanted to talk about this morning is because if I had known what I know now, back when I started my email list and tried to build my platform as a healer and a writer, my list would have easily been doubled or tripled by now. And it took a lot of me going out and figuring it out. And that takes so much time and energy and effort. And I really, really just wanted to offer you all the ideas, the tricks, the tips that I had to go out and figure out by myself to make it a lot easier for you. And one of the big goals of today is to kind of, if you are feeling any resistance about your email list, feel like it's too salesy, you're not really sure what to do with it, I want to get you over the resistance because, again, as a healer, as a writer, you all have really big mission in the world right now, a really big mission. And we need to be out loud with our messages, including this newsletter thing. And by the way, nobody's calling it a newsletter. You'll notice that mine is called your Inspiration Infusion. And so come up with some creative thing to call it, because nobody wants to hit an opt-in on another fucking newsletter, because all of our email boxes are just packed right now, right? I know mine is. I weed them out now and again. You know, sometimes you're on lots of lists that just don't pertain to you anymore, and I try to keep the ones that I'm in really pertinent to my current dreams and goals. So that's one way to organize your own sort of list of lists that you're on. But as far as your own list, I'm going to go a little bit backwards today, and I'm going to go straight to Q&A. So the first one of you to raise your hand and ask me a question gets the answer first. Who's got one for me? Anything about email list or newsletter? Comment, question. All right, I got Ellen and then Justine. Okay, go, Ellen.
I had a question about the newsletters. Should the newsletter have multiple components to it? Some that can offer tips to the reader?
So should one newsletter that goes out have multiple things in it?
That they can benefit from to tease them to come and join you in your program?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
So I do a couple of different things. Some of my inspiration infusions are a poem. And if you all are on my list, you know that sometimes I'll send you a little poster meme and I'll include a poem. Sometimes I'll include some blog links that I've written that week or that month, and I'll put them all there with the title so that you can see and decide if you want to read any of them. It's not the whole blog, it's just a link for the blog, because I do a lot of writing. So sometimes my newsletter, which goes out one time a week on Tuesdays, sometimes I've written 3 or 4 blogs in that week, and you know, you're not going to put the whole blog there. So a nice way to do blogging through your newsletter is to write the title with the link and then write your hook sentence only. And you can even put read more here. And so
Okay.
I'm telling you, the hook sentence of your blogs, gals, that is important. And you can use that in your newsletter. I just put a link with the title a lot of the time. I don't do the hook sentence too, but it's smart. And then sometimes you'll get a newsletter from me telling you about my programs. It's more of a sales newsletter. Like, I want you to know that the Intuitive Writing Workshop is coming up February 4th. So my newsletter this week better say that, because it's my only chance. You know, so we kind of have to time them right, you know. So you look at your events, your open houses, your things that are both paid and free. You look at the timing of that and you back up on your newsletters and you figure out when those should go out. They can be a mixture of everything. Sometimes, I don't know, you know, Tuesday comes around, I don't have a lot going on, but I still want to be consistent with my newsletter. One of the hugest tips of today, you should write down the word consistent. If you're not consistently in the email, in the inbox of people, they will forget about you. And if you're in there too much, they'll unsubscribe. Oh my God, right? It's like so frustrating. But y'all have heard me talk about ideal clients and the whole deal about, you know, people who are saying no to your service or just sort of being offended by the ones who say no. No, be glad and just say next. And so the people who are unsubscribing from your email list, fine, bye. I want more of my ideal clients on my list anyway. So just get over it. I've had so many unsubscribes on my email list now that I am changing up what I'm doing and offering different things. Cool, good. You know, and I watch the numbers go down, and probably like you, I'm like, oh, you know, but then I got to just get over it fast and write that next email. And I'm going to share with you today a little bit about how to promote your list, because you really do have to let people know you even have a list. Okay, did I answer that question, Ellen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And where is Justine? There you are. What's your question?
Me?
Now I can.
Okay. So my question was the frequency.
Okay.
On how often. You mentioned once a week. So is that a good frequency?
You know, a lot of the little tips I learned most recently came from B School, Marie Forleo's B School. It's a big program. It's a couple $1,000s. I don't know. I even know how much it costs at this point. And her frequency module, her email list module, was talking about being consistent. So what felt good to me was once a week. And honestly, I don't make it once a week every month. Sometimes it'll be 2 emails a month. And sometimes I'll be really good and you know, put that on my calendar on Monday and get it done for Tuesday. And if it's not scheduled, it's not real. So please schedule the creation of your newsletter lists. I mean, your newsletters. So however long it's going to take you to create those, and that can be really easy as you get better at this. It's not going to have to take you all day. I can sit and create a newsletter in 30 minutes or less, usually 20 minutes or less. And that's how the blogging is going too. So once you get into the groove, it's not going to feel so time consuming. So in the beginning, don't worry about that. Again, get over that, try a couple, you'll get into the groove and it will not be so time consuming. But consistency is the key. And again, I'm just going to tell you to go with what feels good in the beginning, because if it starts to not feel good, you will ditch it all. And then there's no point, you know. You get into that black hole with all the inner critic thoughts like barraging you, and you're like, oh my God, why am I even sending this out? Nobody's reading it. And you know, I know them all because I've had them all. So what feels good to you, Justine? Have you done any experiments on frequency?
No, I haven't been consistent. I've just been sending them out if I do write a blog, I'll send it out. And I have been trying to put multiple things in there. So I'm not just, you know, putting like a blog and then 3 days later I have an upcoming event. So I'm really trying to do that, but I have not been consistent, but I want to be.
That's really the key, gals, is the consistency. So pick a frequency that feels really good to you in the beginning. And if it's less often and that feels good, fine, but don't miss it. So if it's once a month, please don't miss that month. You're going to need to be, just so that the readers know, your fans know, and can look forward to that monthly email. And they will, and they'll share it with their friends. Okay, did that answer your question? Mm-hmm. Okay, next hand up. Anybody? Manuela, go for it.
I have two platforms, so to say, that merge, but they are different. One is about my yoga business, and the other about my daughter's special needs. They blend. Can you hear me?
Manuela, I don't know what happened. Did you all hear that? Yeah, okay, something really weird happened and your whole last sentence cut out. Can you start again?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is, I have a yoga business and I also work on a platform about my daughter. And because your special needs, so my yoga business merges with the story about my daughter and what she's doing now. Is it smart to merge them? Or should I have two separate lists?
I got you. Okay, I'm gonna, the thing that I'm telling you about, that noise thing is still happening, but I got your question. So I'm gonna mute you now and answer it.
Should I write it down?
No, I got it. I'm just gonna mute you for a minute. Okay, ooh, that was weird. That was like it, Manuela, it was like a skipping record. It was like skipping your voice. It was interesting. Anyway, never heard that one before. Okay. So she's got two components of her business. And, you know, what do you do with that? Do you write separate newsletters? Do you merge them and write one newsletter to your list? This is probably a complicated answer. However, I'm in the same boat. I have BodyWorks Physical Therapy. It's my hands-on physical therapy private practice. And I have Brave Healer Productions, which is my book writing, workshop, online business, stuff like that, okay? And so this is a multi-part answer, and you guys, it might bring up more questions, so just hang with me for a minute. So as I've merged those and tried to make things less time consuming, I have the Brave Healer Network email list. So that's the Inspiration Infusion. And I write that to the bigger list of people who've been on with me since forever, since the beginning of BodyWorks Physical Therapy. And that's still, that email is still, you know, very inspiring, still has the poems and the blogs. It also might have little things about client stories or, you know, hands-on healing. It can have a little bit of everything in it. And the next piece is when, first of all, ideal client, gals. So maybe you have two, Manuela, and that's going to be more difficult. But the way that I deal with, if I have two ideal clients, possibly one who needs to come in for physical therapy, and possibly my other is the healer entrepreneur who needs to understand how to write their email list, okay, or build their email list. So those are different people for sure. Most of the time they're both women, so there's some overlap. Most of the time they're both caregiving people, so there's a little bit of overlap, right? But my writer healer people are different than the layman coming in for pain relief. And so, you know, again, what do you do with that? Well, you use opt-ins, right? Raise your hand if you have an opt-in for your email list that you post for people to sign up for your email. Everyone should be raising their hand. Okay. So if you didn't raise your hand, write down opt-in. Because the opt-in is the place where they put their name in an email so that they can actually be on your list. I know you have one. I know. And that actually everybody has one somewhere, right? But because obviously you guys are all having people sign up for your list somewhere. But to answer the question about your two different ideal clients or businesses, you guys may have seen 5 intuitive writing projects to discover and embrace your ideal client. That was my latest freebie that I attached to a new opt-in. Anyone see that and get it? Yeah, okay. So I posted that on Facebook. I created a whole new opt-in and 5 intuitive writing projects to discover and embrace your ideal client. Well, who do you think my ideal client was for that opt-in? It was that other one. It was not my physical therapy job. It was my Brave Healer Productions company, right? So inside of Aweber, which is the platform I use for my email lists, and I know you gals have MailChimp and you have Constant Contact and probably some other ones that I don't know about. I've used Aweber. I'll type it in the thing. Ever since the dawn of time, I love it. It's cool. It was inexpensive at first, and then when I popped over a certain number of people on my subscribers, they charged me a little bit more, but you know, it's worth it. So in my Aweber system, I have different lists. And one of my lists says 5 intuitive writing projects. So now hang with me, this gets complicated. When I go into my Aweber to create my newsletter, and I have written a newsletter specifically for my healer, writer, entrepreneur client, I can check the lists I want that thing to go out to. I'm definitely going to check the list of the freebie that all those people signed up for. I'm also going to check my Brave Healer network. That's over 2,000 people. For sure going to check that one. Okay. But my littler ones that I've done these freebies and different opt-ins for, I'm just going to go check the ones who are the ideal client for that newsletter. Everybody with me, or does anyone have a question? Y'all with me? Raise your hand if you're with me. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to unmute you, Manuela. Does that partially answer your question?
Partially, yes. Yes, you answered the question. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, you're still skipping. I'm not sure why, but I think I can hear.
California.
So what else about that?
Just one more component. Lots of what I write about my daughter is infused by my healing business.
Of course.
How do I deal with my daughter's issues from the standpoint of a yoga and mindfulness coach? So basically, they do merge.
Yes, of course.
But some,
as do mine.
But still, should I maybe have one when I write more about an update about what Sarina is doing? So should that be separate then?
Okay, I'm going to mute you again. I'm going to mute you again. The noise thing is a little funky, but I got your question. Okay, so actually, Justine, you emailed me recently with a very similar question. You had written a blog. Is it okay if I share this? Okay. She was writing a blog with a personal story about healing, and it was probably something a little bit more personal than she was used to writing, and she wanted to kind of introduce this healing story out into the world and kind of be out loud about what brought her to this point in time, you know, being a healer and helping other people. And we all have those stories, right? And that's like what I'm here to try to inspire people to do, is be out loud about those personal stories. But when it's a personal story and you're not sure like where it fits as far as your email list is, and I think what Manuela is saying, well, should I include those blogs that have more to do with this over here on this list? And here's my answer. If it's a blog and it's either on your personal blog site, like your website, or you've decided to put it on Medium or another platform and have it be out there, or maybe you've guest blogged it for Elephant Journal or some bigger site, yes, put it on all your email lists. Why not include your writing, no matter what it is, on any email list that you send out to your list? Because who knows, your one client in the one part of your business, Manuela, they may read that blog that you wrote and go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this part of her story. I've got a friend who really needs to read this. Do you see why you include it? So when we're talking about blogging specifically, yes, please include all of your blog links on any newsletter, as long as you feel like there's crossover, right? Okay, so you good, Manuela? Okay. I'm going to unmute you, Justine, for a second. So can you just comment about that for your own personal thing, you know, just how we've been going back and forth on that story and the dilemma you were having?
Yeah, so my biggest thing was, how do I tie this story into my healing practice, which it is very much tied in. I know that, because if I hadn't had the story, I wouldn't be in the position as a healer that I am. So what I did was just tied it in, and Laura helped me with this, and you know, I put like one sentence or paragraph, and it ended up being at the end, but she had me put it more at the beginning, but it explained why, like basically how it was leading to my own chronic pain, which helps me identify with my ideal patient, because I help people with chronic pain, and I wanted to give them an idea that, hey, your chronic pain isn't always physical. And so my story was kind of this mental, emotional kind of stuff. So yeah, it does. I think, you know, I've heard this over and over too, like, you know, share your story, because even Manuela, your story of your daughter is a story of you, and a story of what you do and where you're coming from. So when you share who you are and that story, people see a bigger picture than just separating yourself as, I do this as a living, but really all this other stuff makes you who you are and brings that to the table and being able to help the next person. Because we can't possibly know what somebody, you know, what somebody identifies with. It might be, you know, your story of your daughter might be very similar to, you know, somebody that they know, or, you know, something that they have had in their past or are dealing with themselves, and they can identify that and go, oh, this Manuela, wow, she gets me. You know, she understands what it's like to be dealing with whatever your daughter's going through, you know, and that just makes you that much more easy to relate to.
And thank you, Justine. And I'll add one more thing to back that up. If you do not tell me who you are and really where you've come from, and your authentic, real, kind of raw, vulnerable stories, please, why should I trust you as my healer or even my writer? So if you're not going to give it up, why should I even read? Like, why do I want to trust you and as a healer, you're, you know, having people come into your practice for some really deep work. So you be the trailblazer there. You be the first one to be vulnerable. You be the first one to share your story, that story that kind of makes you want to throw up a little bit. You know, like, and people are going to read that and go, oh my gosh, thank God, someone else. And they're not going to feel alone, and they're going to want to hire you because you were brave enough to actually talk about the stuff that no one else will talk about. Get it? Okay, so it's a perfect segue into blogging is the way I built my list from like 150 to over 2,000. And the most important thing about blogging and list building together is your call to action inside of your bio at the end of each blog. And so I will just put that piece out there that blogging, guest blogging especially, was the way that I got a huge amount of increase in exposure, and lots of different people sort of clicking on my site and joining the list, and where I really, really started to see some momentum. There are a lot of ways to build your list besides blogging, but blogging was very powerful for me because I was sharing the stories I was just telling you gals about. Because people were reading it and going, oh my God, I can't believe she's talking about that. But they were contacting me saying that. So you know they want to do it too. They're just a little bit afraid. And so when someone does it, and then you guys can, you know, grab hands with those people and go, listen, here, let's do this together. You don't have to do this alone. I'll help you tell your story in a way that feels good, you know? So blogging, you know, I could talk about blogging all day long. Maybe we'll do another call just about blogging. But your blog call to action. Anyone with a question about call to action? Just raise your hand. Was that a yes, Justine? Okay, I'll go with Justine first.
Well, I don't know if I have a question, just I guess in a way, like what's the best way? Like I offer discovery sessions. Is it give me a you know, call for a free phone, you know, consultation? Like what is it? You know,
Okay.
Different versions, I guess.
Yes, and there's a million of them. Okay, so I did so many different things, gals, with this. You know, click here for my new free ebook. If you love this and you are craving more, then click here and you can grab my Bodyworks Healing Handbook. I did, the latest one was the 5 intuitive writing projects. That was a 2-page thing. And for anyone who picked that up, I think Manuela did, I thought, I'm a little biased, but I thought that thing was packed with really good projects that were actionable, that would have made a change in your writing if you followed it. Yeah, Manuela? Yeah. So I gave a valuable freebie, and that would be a call to action. You know, if you want to pick up my 5 intuitive writing projects, click here. Every call to action is an opt-in for your email list. Every single one of them. Do not allow them to download the thing right then for free. They need to get on your list for it. And I think you all know that piece of email list. Thank you, thank you, Manuela. You're going to opt in, Justine. Cool. It's a good one. You're already on my list. I'll send it to you. So what other ways? What other call to actions? Yes, the discovery call. You know, discovery call is like the hot term now, right? And for some reason, I get like instant resistance to the term of the day. Like I try to be a little bit more creative. And so mine is called an intuitive writing strategy call. And the 30 minutes with me, and there are a couple of ladies on this call who've had one. So I can ask them to talk about how that was. And if you're thinking about doing a call as your freebie, we'll have a short discussion about that, how powerful that can be. So is it that, Justine? Sure. Like if that turns you on, but I'm going to give you the tip that my coach gave me about that. And that is when you can bring somebody on the phone with you, hear their voice, go through with them about their vision and their dreams and where they're stuck. And we are all very intuitive beings on this call. We all have the ability to see stuff that the person is stuck in, right? We all need that too, by the way. No matter what level you get to, you still need somebody to see the stuff you can't see. I really don't care who you are, or if you have a New York Times bestseller, you still need a coach. You still need to sit with somebody and understand what the next level thing is that you're missing because you're so wrapped up in it, you just can't see it. So anyway, that live call, you know, I think I've done one with both Justine and Isabella and a little bit with Manuela. And you guys know that you had stuff you wanted to do from that 30 minutes, like ideas, right? So yes, the call, that's my latest thing. Grab your 30-minute free call, you give them the opt-in, and they get on the list and they can set up the call. One thing with the email opt-ins, when you all were directed to that page and you entered your name and email, then what happens is you automatically get a second email that says something like, hey, I'm so glad that you signed up for this, and this is what you need to do next. And I think on mine, it's just email me to accept the invitation, you know, so that I know you want to sign up for a call, and then we go back and forth with email scheduling. But I'll have to tell you, gals, the next step for me is an automated scheduler as well. I've watched people do the automated schedulers and it's not been so super great. So I'm researching right now for a good program. If anybody has one or knows one, let me know. Okay, so Justine, did that answer that question?
Yeah, so, well, okay, I have a question with that. So the strategy call, are you doing that for your PT business as well? You're kind of doing both? Because when I do the call, I'm really trying to get people to come in and see me. Where I know you have the separate thing and you're trying to get, writers and stuff too. So
for local, you can just do, if you have the time and energy and you want to bring them in physically, you can schedule, but I think you probably could do your phone screen and it could be very valuable. But you know what? There's merits for both of those. So you do what feels good. Mm-hmm. If it's tough to schedule it physically and you can do some in the evening on the phone, well, right? And maybe you leave it up to the client. You can either come in and I can take a quick look at you and we can really, that'll help this all go faster. And maybe they already know they want to work with you, so they just want to sort of see what you're about type of thing. But you could leave it up to them to do a phone call or an in-person. Yeah. Okay. And if you really want to do a physical screen for free, if that's your freebie, where
that's actually what I do. I try to get them on the phone because I find if I can get them on the phone and find out, what's going on with them, then I have a much better way, much better success at either getting them into, the next step would either be if they're ready to work with me and they know that for sure, they can book an appointment. Yeah. Otherwise, I go the next step. If they're still kind of like sitting on the fence, but I feel like they're a good fit for me and I can help them, then I'll say, well, you can do this discovery session in person. And I don't do, it's kind of like a quick screen, but it's still just kind of sitting down. I used to do treatment with that, but I stopped doing that. Yeah, that answers my question.
Okay, and another super, super awesome way for in-person, one-on-one, hands-on type of businesses is to hold free 1-hour lunchtime workshops where the people are attending physically, and you do a demonstration with the group about what you do. Maybe you do a little MSR demonstration. Maybe you do, like I do some total motion release corrective exercise stuff with everybody sitting in their chairs. Every single time I do a free one like that, I get a client every time because they can hear me, they can see me. I'm doing something that actually works right in the moment. Like people get up and they go, oh, that feels better. So when you have someone stand up and say, oh, that feels better to a crowd of people, you're going to have more in the crowd go, okay, sign me up. So anytime you guys can get in front of people, yes, yes, yes. So if you want your freebie to be a free ticket to the workshop or the free, physical screen or whatever that is. Can you do that on Zoom? That's a great question. Sure. I think the hardest comment about that is like, what about liability? And, are you treating over the Zoom, and where are you and how are you treating, so when you start to feel that inside of you and there's questions and stuff, just make it easier on yourself and do the thing that feels good. Because when you start to get into that energy and those feelings, it starts to feel kind of icky and scary and, good, Justine?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to give Ellen 5 minutes to talk about a very creative way to list build. All right, Ellen, I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So all of what you've been talking about, all of what Laura's been teaching you is just spot on. These are the biggest problems that my clients have. And my clients are all kinds of entrepreneurs and businesses that are looking to build their list using, drum roll, a quiz. And a quiz is not those silly, what kind of Disney princess are you? It's more for my business, I actually created a creativity deck for creative problem solving. So I have one quiz where you can find out how balanced your inner muses and mentors are. And so this is a way, I'm in a cafe, so it's going to be noisy here. I don't know if that's interfering. So basically, what you're doing is exactly what Laura was suggesting. Not only reach out and offer something that's of value, and a quiz is of value in a way that both showcases what you're brilliant at, what it is that you're doing that nobody else can do, and then it hooks the people who are taking the quiz in by giving them some insight that they never could have gotten any other way. So you're teaching them something about themselves, you're teaching them something about what you do, and then the key is to follow up. And that's why once they're on your list, you need to have a really good plan for what you're doing with it. And that's where I usually send my clients off, and some of them do incredibly well. I have one client that went from about 500 on their mailing list to, 5,000 now. And that's over just about a year and a half or 2 years using 2 quizzes, but they have a pretty high-end product. So my coaches tend to use it more as before we do the discovery session, or before, in order to get onto my list so that you get my blogs and my newsletters and my inspirations, we get to know each other a little bit better. And so it's not always high volume, but it's very deep, very high quality. So, and I'm a methodologist, I'm an anthropologist. And so that's how I approach it, is I figure out who your ideal client is with you, and then we really hone every single quiz to attract that person in more. And once you blast that out on all the social media sites and it's living on your website, it's a living, breathing way of continually pulling people in. You can use it at live events, you can use it on Zoom. So yeah, it's exciting. I love what I do.
Hey,
so that's basically it.
Can you give me, if you happen to know it and can type it in the chat right now, that's awesome. But if you don't, I can send it to the gals. Can you give me the opt-in for the woman who you used as an example for me the other day? And
sure.
That way all the gals can go take her quiz and kind of see what we're talking about.
Okay, for some reason my phone's not. I usually use Zoom on my computer, and the phone is a little harder to navigate, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's basically, the really easy way to remember it is it's Magic Inspired, and then you just use bit.ly/. I always use short links, so it's bit.ly/magic with a capital M, inspired with a capital I. And this is an Italian coach who does these magical retreats. She's amazing. And she figured out that people tend to fall on one simple scale. And so she takes you through a bunch of fun questions. And then in the end, she tells you where you are on that scale, from really busy to really inspired. So, and then she gives you all kinds of offers in her automatic letter.
So thank you, Ellen. And did you put your website in the chat yet? What's
well,
your
it's
I'll type it.
I'm having trouble navigating this, so
Just tell it to me. I'll type it in.
I'm Ellen Coronet at lnkcreative.com. It's just lnkcreative.com. Sorry about the technology here.
lnkcreative.com.
That's it.
Got it. Okay, there it is, gals. So you can look and see about her quizzes, and then if you let's see, you said Magic Inspired Bitly. You know what? I'll send that one to the gals later because I didn't quite get that whole one.
Okay.
It's really fun to actually go through her quiz, and then you can see completely what Ellen has done for her with the quiz, and you'll go through the process of that opt-in, which is a perfect experiment for something like this, gals. So it's another thing I highly suggest is go to your favorite people, sign up for
Thank you, Justine. Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome. Oh, yay. Perfect. Thanks, Justine. Did anyone test it yet? Hang on. I'm going to test it. Yeah, look, yes, perfect. Thank you, Justine. That worked. Okay, so there it is for you guys to check out. Yeah, so do the experiment. Go to your favorite places, your favorite websites who are, you know, they offered you the freebie. Think back to the programs you've purchased that you enjoyed and go see what that was. Like, be curious of what hooked you in and how they wrote it and what freebie they used. And then, you know, so that's my favorite thing to do now is just to think about the different things that I've been involved in. You know, I did B School. I did the Lucky Bitch Money Boot Camp. You know, she had a lot of freebies in the beginning of that program. So obviously we're going out and grabbing things that we think would be useful, and then you want to develop something similar. And then you're not copying people's work, you're just using their stuff as a model. And the way that it really resonated with you. So that's one way that I create my freebies and my different opt-ins. Okay, so aside from Ellen's quiz idea, remember your social media posts can be your opt-in link. So you can create a poster for Facebook, you can create a tweet, an Instagram photo, and any of those things can be the opt-in link that you created for whatever freebie it was or whatever list you're marketing. And then please ask your friends to share. You know, so you have a really cool email that just went out and somebody really liked it, like they actually replied on your email. You could reply back and say, hey, I'm so glad you enjoy this. If you have somebody you know would benefit, please share. And that person obviously isn't on the email list yet, so they're sharing with somebody who isn't on the list. And, you know, every one of those count. Sometimes you'll see, this is my sense of humor, but sometimes you'll see on Facebook that I'll write a post on my biz page that says something like, hey, everybody, the Inspiration Infusion email just went out. What? You're not subscribed? Well, here's how to do it, right? So you just give little teasers, and you could even say like what's in it, a little teaser about what's in it. And that's another way to advertise your list, basically. Another way that I've advertised the list is inside of groups on Facebook. Facebook is the place that I enjoy the most as far as the social media. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram, but my ideal clients don't hang out on those platforms as often. So I just spend my time where I know my people are. So you don't have to spread yourself so thin on this. You can focus, you know, and feel like it's a little bit more beneficial. Okay, any other questions on anything? Email list, newsletter? Next hand up. Anybody? Yep, go ahead, Justine.
What about subject line? What do you find? I mean, have you experimented with that on what, you know, is it a short thing? What is it? To grab people's attention, actually get them to open up the email.
Yeah, so I'll say the same thing in the next week. Pay attention to the ones you open. Okay? And the next thing I'll say is that, yeah, they got to be good. They got to be grabbing, hooking people. Sometimes I'll ask a question that sort of spurs people's curiosity. I like those the best. Sometimes I'll do something silly like, got inspiration today with a question mark. Sometimes I'll say really simply, you know, tips for intuitive writing and a poem. It basically just says what the email is about today, you know. I've used lots of different ways, but you're making me think about, if I can find it, and I've told a lot of you about John Morrow. It's www.smartblogger.com. I just typed it in for you. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you're bloggers, get on his list. He has so many killer resources, and he has a headline one that I will definitely look for, Justine, and I will send it to you. Okay?
Okay.
writing killer headlines. In fact, I might even have a download from a class ages ago from him that was all about writing headlines. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely learned how to write better headlines. And, you know, that tip is really great for the newsletter, but it's also something you need to learn how to do for your blogs. And when you submit blogs to bigger sites like Elephant Journal and Mind Body Green, I can't even tell you how many times they've completely obliterated my title and made up their own. And so over the years, I learned, right? I figured out what they were doing. And there are lots and lots of tips about headline writing. And I will see if I can find the thing that I'm telling you guys about, that I told Justine about. And hang on a second, I'm gonna just copy one thing for you guys. If you guys are not in the Brave Healers Mastermind and Refuge group, which is my free group for healers on Facebook, there's the link. And that is where I'm gonna post this stuff for you guys. Okay, because I obviously can't put it everywhere. Like I need to put it somewhere where you guys can find it. Aside from emailing everybody. So get into that group, and I will put I'm just going to write myself a note to put the headline resource in there for you. Great, good question. It does matter. What else? Gals? Anything goes. What you got? While you guys are thinking.
Hello?
Yeah, Ellen or Nancy?
This is Nancy.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
I have MailChimp, and maybe because I have the free service, but I haven't been able to create like a custom icon to link to my subscriber list. Is that available on MailChimp with an advanced, with with one of their paid services, or what?
MailChimp, does anybody?
What do you use?
Aweber.
Aweber, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that.
All right.
So say the question again.
Well, I would really have two questions. Like, what mail service do people use? What do you recommend?
Okay.
And I wanted to have like an icon or a kind of an interesting image that people would click on to subscribe. And, right now I just have a box and it just says subscribe and it's kind of boring looking.
Oh,
and I was...
there are so many different ways to create those little graphic boxes, like with your logo, with a little poster, with a... Sometimes I will have my website gal create those for me so that they look a little fancier.
Right.
But honestly, I have to say that's never really mattered, because if you're advertising a killer freebie that everybody wants, they don't care how they put their name and email in your box. They don't care.
Well, I just wanted something that looked nice, just for the aesthetics.
Yeah.
And because I think that is important. And I'm just looking to build up an email list. And I think it's a good idea to have, freebies and things like that. But I already have those on my website. But it still be a good idea to, get your free report or something like that. I could do that. But I was just wondering about, because I know MailChimp has a URL, and I could put in an image in there, and then when they click it, it takes them to the URL. But I really liked having them fill like the name and email right on the page.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple comments coming in for you. Ellen says, I don't like MailChimp, but I think you can add images to each letter. A branded opt-in is probably not available. And Lilia says you can't with MailChimp. You can only use their box.
So what other services do people recommend? Can you tell me what you have again? Because I
have Aweber. It's AWEBER.com.
Okay.
And people use Constant Contact is one that I know. Infusionsoft is another.
What was the last one?
Infusionsoft.
Infusionsoft.
And those are the ones that I know of, gals. How about you all? Anything different? You want to type it into the chat? I've liked Aweber for a long time, and they've grown and done new things and send lots of really helpful emails as far as list building now. And yeah, Manuela says she loves Aweber too. It's 1B though, not 2. AWEBER.com.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was, $19 for your beginning level with a month, which, okay, $19. So that gets me to another point about this, gals, is that remember that your email list is your only direct way to reach people aside from the phone and a personal email. You need to have it. You got to have it, and you got to grow it. Okay. And if any of you are bloggers and or thinking about writing a book, you're going to need to build the platform a little bit bigger to be able to reach that audience. So this isn't something to be afraid of. Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating, but there's a lot to learn, and you'll get better at it, and you'll see your list grow, and that's rewarding, when you see that start to happen. Justine says Aweber also lets you share your email funnel with others if you want. Yeah, okay. And Ellen says, one of my clients is using and loving one that starts with an O. I'll see if I can find it. I'm not sure what that one is. So if this is, if this is your one direct way to let your clients know what's up with you, what's going on, what programs you're offering, give them the opportunity to share your newsletters, your blogs, and your offerings with their friends who they think would really enjoy it. You're giving gifts here, and you have to think about it that way. What if Facebook went away today? You'd want everyone to be on your email list. Yeah. So I think about that every day because I'm, so addicted to Facebook and love it so much, and can't believe the connections I've made on Facebook and international, and it's just a miracle to me. So I think, all right, I got to be motivated to build my other platforms just in case something crazy happens with Facebook. So remember also that the people who sign up for your email list, you're going to be treating them special. They opted in, they're on your list, you're offering them things you don't put on Facebook. You're treating them a little bit more special than you do everyone else on all the other ways that you market. Maybe you're sending a special discount, and you can actually market that when you market your list. You can say, hey, the people on my Inspiration Infusion email are going to get special things from me, special discounts. They're going to get insider look at the back end of what I'm doing in my business. They're going to get a free chapter of my new book. They're going to get, right? So you can think of a long list of things that will help you market your email list. Make it worth their while to be on your list. That is something I think about every day. When I send out my newsletter, I think, all right, what value is this to these people? So it's a good question and a good energy to get into every single time you write your newsletters. And then ultimately, you really do need to know your ideal client for this, because you're going to be talking to them on your newsletter. You want to read your newsletter out loud to yourself before you hit send. You want to give it an actual out loud voice and hear it, or even read it to a friend and ask for feedback. Hey, how does this sound to you? Does this really sound like I'm talking to you, like you, my ideal client? And get a little feedback on your first couple, and you'll start to figure out how to write those in a very conversational tone, a friendly tone, like you're talking to your BFF type of thing. So let's see, a couple comments here. Entreport is the other one that they were talking about. Justine says, how many follow-up emails do you put in your lead generation funnel? Good question. I did a program that did 6 or 7, and when I did that, I instantly felt like if I got 6 or 7 emails after my opt-in, one, bam, 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 it would be way too much and I'd probably unsubscribe. So I'm going to tell you to go with what feels good there. I I'm going toward 2 to 3 to 4 now, and I'm spreading them out 3 to 4 days apart. Brendan Burchard, you guys know, Motivation Manifesto guy. He has some really cool freebies and stuff about this right now too, about spacing. And he's doing some stuff with video as far as free trainings that you're offering your email list. And I'm working to develop that for myself right now. So you guys might be seeing that in the near future. Do you just deliver the item they opted into and then then they're on your list? Or are you sending the broadcast emails with your weekly inspiration? Both. So they get the thing and they probably get a follow-up email or two on that particular mini list. And then when I write my big newsletter to the Brave Healer Network, I'm including those mini lists that I think are appropriate. So they're also getting those. Yeah. And then Lilia says, you need a couple follow-ups to make sure they use the freebie. Yeah, that's my second email that says, hey, did you guys grab this? Or thanks for grabbing it. Did you enjoy it? Do you have questions? I'm totally here if you want to chat about it. That kind of follow-up. Okay. And then she finishes by saying, but you can't barrage them with emails. It'll turn them off. Yeah, totally. Totally. Okay. It is 10 o'clock. Oh my goodness. Any other questions? Okay, so I want just to tell you guys that I've got the Intuitive Writers Workshop and Mastermind. The other online program that's going to start is February 4th. It's Sunday mornings, and it actually goes every other Sunday for 6 sessions. If any of you are interested in being in that program, bringing a writing project to that 6-week program, I will basically do the intuitive writing work with you and hold your hand and make sure by the end of the 6 weeks you have this piece of writing that you love and you can use to market to your ideal clients. Might be a bio, it might be a blog, it might be the beginning of a book, I don't know, it could be big or small. And if you use the code BRAVE, BRAVE in all caps, you'll get 50% off of that 6-week course. It's a humongous discount. And for those of the gals who have taken that course with me already, would one of you gals please just tell them about it real quick? Who wants to tell? Somebody talk about the program. Justine or Isabella, one of you. Anyone want to talk about it?
I can. Yeah, we did the 12-week course, and it was just really good just to get into, journaling and really trying to find that authentic voice. And it is helping me with blog writing. I'm still a little bit I know I still have work to do, so that's why I'm taking the next one. But yeah, it's been really great. Just a lot of good energy in the group, the closed Facebook group, people offering, encouragement and support and feedback on blogs or, writings or whatever it is. So I've been recommending it to a lot of people. I think a couple people have come in to it that I talked to. So.
They have. Thank you very much. And Justine and Isabella have been in the 12-week program prior to this, and I morphed it into a 6-week shorter program and further defined my ideal client in that it's a healer who really wants to write words that heal themselves and the world, who's really interested in being brave and sharing those personal healing stories in a way that feels good and attracts that ideal client. And so in the 6-week workshop, that's really where I'm honing in. And one other tiny announcement that hasn't been even developed yet, but coming is the Brave Healer platform building fear busting workshop. And so it's kind of going to be like a longer, more in-depth version of today, where I'm going to just take you by the hand and tell you everything that I've learned and how to do it and give you lots of ideas about the writing. If you guys need blog help, you're not really sure how to craft the blog with that nice call to action at the end that gets people on your list, I'm totally here for that. And I'm doing some private sessions of coaching for that too. So thank you for listening to all of that. And if you guys have any follow-up questions we didn't have time to talk about or answer, I'm here by email. So bewarriorlove@gmail.com anytime. And you're welcome, Justine. I'll type my email real quick. There it is, but I think you guys have all that. So have a super great day and a really awesome weekend. And thanks for coming. Talk to y'all soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.